What's up, YouTube? Welcome to your NFL 2014 Week 14 Carolina Panthers game recap. The Carolina Panthers defeat the New Orleans Saints 41-10 in New Orleans, and this is actually was a pretty important game because Carolina loses this one and they're out of the any type of playoff top winning that division, which has been horrible. I don't need to say this. Reiterate this anymore, but everyone knows that the NFC South has been the worst division this year in football. The records speak for themselves. A lot went on in this game, and most of what I predicted, because I actually did pick against the Panthers. And you got to understand that weeks prior to this, they didn't give me any reason to think that they would actually play the way they did in this game. I'm going to get into exactly what happened, but just know that Carolina really dominated this game. Of course, I always go to the quarterbacks. Start with New Orleans. They were the home team. I always go with the other team. Drew Brees, 29 of 49, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. And I thought, there were some drops there, though. There were some drops. Jimmy Graham had about 3 drops. There was a couple other guys dropping the ball. So I thought they had a problem there. Like I said, there were some drops. Carolina was able to get some pressure on them, force them to some errant throws. So, that Carolina pass rush actually showed up this week with getting pressure on Drew Brees. And the Saints, the Saints just haven't been that good at home. Continuing on, the quarterback situation with Cam Newton. Cam Newton was 21 of 33, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, and was sacked 0 times. So I thought he did a good job of taking care of the ball. There was some drops on his side, and also there were some missed throws by him too, where he missed some guys. I remember it was a route with Jericho Cotchery, and he came off wide open, and Cam Newton just missed him. So there were some missed throws, but for the most part, he took care of the football. From the rushing, New Orleans, Mark Ingram, 10 carries, 43 yards. Pierre Thomas, 5 carries, 38. Drew Brees, 1 carry, 6, and Cadet, 1 carry for 5. So I think they held the running game in check, and with the score being, it was such a disparity in the score, the running game's pretty much you get thrown out. Drew Brees threw 49 times. You essentially have to put it in the air. From the Carolina side of things, Carolina, of course, rushed a lot. Jonathan Stewart, 20 carries, 155 yards, and a touchdown. He also had the touchdown he had was a 69-yard touchdown, where New Orleans defender didn't even get close to him. So, the New Orleans run defense was not very good in this game. Cam Newton, 12 carries for 83 yards, 1 touchdown. The touchdown he had was on the goal line where he actually reached the ball over. Thought it was an excellent play by him. He did a good job of getting out of the pocket. Big reason why he didn't get sacked that much. They did put him under some pressure, but his ability to run around and get yards with his legs, I think, really kept the defense off balance. Mike Tolbert, 5 carries for 28 yards, and Fozzie Whitaker with 3 carries for 5. Carolina had total 40 carries for 271 yards, with the brunt of it obviously coming from Newton and Jonathan Stewart. From the receiving, Marcus Colston, 5 receptions, 72. Toon, 4 receptions, 45. Jimmy Graham, 3 receptions, 25, and he's been a big disappointment the last couple of weeks. He's had some drops. Like I said, he had about 3 or 4 drops in this game. This is one of the guys who's considered elite in terms of tight ends. I mean, he got paid well, and he just hasn't, he's had his games, but he just, down the stretch when this team really needs him to play well, he just hasn't. Morgan, 2 receptions, 23. Kenny Stills, 3 receptions for 23. Pierre Thomas, 4 receptions, 14. And Mark Ingram, 2 receptions, 13. Cadet, 2 receptions, 13. And Benjamin Watson, 2 receptions, 8 yards. I think in Carolina, for the most part, the secondary actually did a solid job. Much better than they have been throughout this season, which they've been pretty bad. But I thought they played a little bit better. Especially Thomas Davis. You have to give Thomas Davis some credit because he did make some plays on the ball. He made some plays. He was guarding Jimmy Graham for most of the game. I thought he did a solid job. The Carolina side of things, Greg Olsen, amazing game. 10 receptions, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. He was targeted 11 times. The guy is reliable. You throw him the ball, he's going to make a play on it. Philly Brown, 3 receptions, 42. Mike Tolbert, 2 receptions, 34. Fozzie Whitaker, 1 reception, 26. Kelvin Benjamin, 2 receptions, 24, and a touchdown. Also, Fozzie Whitaker had a touchdown. Ed Dixon, 1 reception, 10. Jericho Cotchery, 1 reception for 9. And Burson, 1 reception for 9. I think Kelvin Benjamin had some drops. He had a few drops, and you kind of see that he's still a rookie. He's still trying to get acclimated to the offense. The guy still shows the ability to make some amazing catches. Greg Olsen, as usual, is consistently reliable for Cam Newton, and a guy Cam Newton really trusts as a safety valve. Defensively, Curtis Lofton, I thought he played pretty good. He was making a lot of the tackles. Let's see. Warren had two pass defenses, 8 tackles, 6 were solos. Also mentioned that Curtis Lofton also had a stop. He had 1 stop. I'm not gonna go into every single guy because that will take forever. But guys I can say that played good. Curtis Lofton. For Carl, he missed some tackles, but I thought he played okay. The problem with this team was they gave up some big plays in the run game. One letting Cam get out, and he kept breaking contain. Also, Carolina struggled to run the ball all year, and the way they looked running the ball in this game is as if they didn't have any problems running throughout the entire year. So they did a good job of running the ball, but I also think it was something on the Saints. They weren't disciplined in their gap. In their gaps, and Carolina was running a lot of the same plays that they ran earlier that game. You think they would game plan for that, but I think also you have to add in that Cam Newton was already running all over him, so something like a read option, it was very deadly with the running quarterback. That's why a lot of teams have adopted it, because you got so many quarterbacks that can run. And I think that really affected the defense, kept them on their heels, and that's why Carolina was able to run the ball on this defense. On the back end, probably one of the better defensive players out there was Keenan Lewis. Apologize. He was on Kelvin Benjamin. I thought he did a pretty good job. He was all over him. He's a one standout guy. You look at the stats, they don't speak to how well he actually played in the game, but I thought he played pretty good. And that's, I thought there was some guys who played okay, but for the most part, the defense did not play good. Defensively for Carolina, Ben Wickery, 2 pass defenses, 8 tackles. Luke Kuechly didn't have, he had some plays, 7 tackles, 1 for a loss, and two pass defenses. Thomas Davis, 1 pass defense. He guarded Jimmy Graham. I thought he did a good job. Let's see, K'Wan Short had 2 QB hits. He was able to get some pressure on Drew Brees. Looking at the stats right now. Mario Addison was able to get 2 QB hits. This is another guy who I thought, has some ability to get to the quarterback. Obviously, he's not going to play a lot of snaps, but when he was out there, he was able to get some pressure. He got a few hits. He got a couple hits on Drew Brees. So, I really liked him being out there. Roman Harper actually made some plays in this game. He had 3 pass defenses, but you really can't expect much from this guy. And Saints fans know that you really can't expect this guy to play consistently every single week. Boston had two pass defenses. Like I said, the secondary I thought played better than they did all year. And honestly, coming into this game, based on seeing how so many teams were able to move the ball through the air in this Panther defense, I really thought Drew Brees was gonna carve them up, and it really didn't happen. Those guys really stepped up back in the secondary. The guys with sacks, like I said, K'Wan Short, he was able to get pressure. He had one of the sacks. Also, Mario Addison had the sack. So I think Mario Addison should get more playing time. I've been saying this all year. He's had his bad games, but what can you do when you don't get a bunch of snaps? So for the most part, I think the Carolina defense played pretty good. They played really good. They were able to get let me see how many turnovers. They were able to generate 2 turnovers. One was an interception, one was a fumble. The fumble, I believe, by Benjamin Watson. Yes, it was by Benjamin Watson. Let me make sure of that. No, it was Mark Ingram. The fumble was Mark Ingram. Okay, the fumble was Mark Ingram. It was picked up by Cole. Yep. Let me make sure that. Okay. Yep. And one was an interception thrown by Drew Brees. Let me see who got that interception. Ben Wickery, who, as I said, played solid. A lot of the Carolina Panthers fans are pretty high on him. Kind of hard to say because the whole secondary looked bad most of the year. So I think obviously they're going to give him another shot. So he did look pretty good in this game. And on to the third down efficiency. Carolina was 7 of 15. New Orleans was 5 of 14. Fourth down efficiency. Carolina didn't attempt any plays on fourth down, and the Saints were 1 of 2. Total yards 497 by Carolina Panthers and to New Orleans 310. Do not let this mislead you. There was a point in the game where the New Orleans Saints had 110 total yards, and the Carolina Panthers had 440. I remember that number because I'm looking at it like I'm pretty sure you could look that up, and somebody actually has a screenshot. Carolina Panthers, with the way they looked this year, had 4 times as many yards as a high-powered New Orleans Saints offense. I was astounded by that. Let's see. Like I said, they had 2 turnovers. And another stat, Carolina was 3 of 5 in the red zone. They have struggled in the red zone, both offensively and defensively. So they did a much better job than that. They kept New Orleans pretty much away from the goal line for the majority of the game until the end, with the garbage touchdown at the end, near the end of the game. Time possession, Carolina dominated this, 36 minutes to 24 minutes. So Carolina dominated time possession, had 0 turnovers, and rushed for over 250 yards. It's going to be hard to lose games if you win in statistics like that. Carolina had more penalties, but it didn't matter because they were able to move the ball up and down the field, pretty much at will for most of the game. I also did want to say one thing, totally off topic of the game. If you don't know, Cam Newton got into a car wreck yesterday, which was Tuesday. As a matter of fact, it's Thursday now, but Tuesday he got into a car wreck. He had let me make sure that's what it was. Okay, he had 2 fractures in his lower back, and I doubt he plays Sunday. So I'm guaranteed he ain't gonna play. This is the same injury Tony Romo had. Tony Romo actually had to sit out, and you could still see when the game. Tony Romo sat out 1 game, but you could still see the game that he did come back in. He was still struggling with it. He's not struggling with it now, but we don't know exact severity of his in comparison to Tony Romo. We just know it's a similar injury. I'm glad he's doing okay. Wish him a speedy recovery. Don't try to rush back. This team still has a chance at the playoffs, but he does not need to rush back. And he takes a lot of hits in the game, and I just don't think he needs to rush back. He needs to rest on that injury. Hopefully, we're probably gonna have Derek Anderson in there. Hopefully, we can win with him. But if you watch the game, let me know what you think about it. Of course, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe. Thanks for watching.